The weight of silence. They had lived together for half a century, 50 years of shared mornings, laughter, arguments, reconciliations, and the quiet rhythm of a life built brick by brick. Sarah Johnson was a proud black woman from Alabama, strong-willed yet gentle, and Mark Williams, a white man from Ohio, had fallen hopelessly in love with her when such love was still met with harsh stares and whispered disapproval. They had chosen each other in the 1960s, when the world was not ready for their union, and yet they stood their ground, against neighbors, against family, against the heavy weight of history itself. For decades, theirs was a story told in their community, the couple who defied prejudice, who built a life out of courage. They raised children, nurtured grandchildren, paid mortgages, buried friends, survived illnesses, and stood side by side as the years carved wrinkles into their once youthful faces. But time is a thief, and time is also a revealer. On a crisp autumn evening, as the orange leaves fell outside their modest suburban home, Sarah sat across from Mark at the kitchen table. She watched him stir his tea absent-mindedly, his hand trembling slightly with age. She had rehearsed this moment in her mind countless times, but the words had always caught in her throat. Tonight, she could not hold them back any longer. "Mark," Sarah said softly, her voice carrying both the weight of love and the burden of guilt. He looked up, his blue eyes still steady even at 75. "Yes, love." She inhaled deeply, pressing her hands together as though in prayer. "There's something I need to tell you, something I should have told you a long time ago." Mark frowned. In 50 years, he had learned the subtle changes in her tone. This wasn't about bills or the children. This was something deeper. "Go on," he said gently. Sarah's heart pounded. "Do you remember when we were just married? We moved to Atlanta for your job." He nodded. "Of course. Those first years were the hardest, but also the sweetest. We had nothing but each other." Her lips quivered. "During that time I saw someone from my past." Mark's spoon clinked against the cup. He set it down slowly, eyes narrowing, trying to understand. "What do you mean, you saw someone?" Her eyes filled with tears. "My first love, David. We ran into each other at the library one afternoon. It was unexpected." Mark leaned back, silence falling heavy between them. The name David was unfamiliar, but the tremor in her voice carried a truth that needed no explanation. "And?" he asked, though part of him already feared the answer. Sarah swallowed hard. "I betrayed you, Mark, just once. It was 50 years ago, but it has haunted me every day since." The words seemed to echo in the room, hanging between them like smoke. Mark felt as though the floor had shifted beneath him. For 50 years he had believed their love was unshakable, pure, and unsullied. The world had doubted them, but they had triumphed. And now, in the twilight of their lives, Sarah's confession cracked open a fissure that reached back half a century. Why are you telling me this now?" His voice was hoarse. Sarah's tears spilled freely. "Because I can't carry it to the grave. You deserve the truth. You've always deserved the truth." Mark rose from his chair, pacing slowly across the kitchen, his hands clenched at his sides. He felt old, older than he had felt just minutes ago. 50 years, Sarah, 50 years. And you kept this from me." Her voice broke. "I was ashamed. I was terrified. We were fighting so many battles against racism, against poverty, against everyone who thought we couldn't make it. I told myself it would destroy us if I admitted it. But the silence has destroyed me." Mark's breath came ragged. "We built a life together. We raised children. And all this time, you were carrying this ghost." "Yes," she whispered. That night, Mark didn't sleep. He sat in his armchair, staring at the photographs on the mantelpiece, wedding pictures, family portraits, snapshots of Christmas mornings and summer vacations. Each frame felt heavier now, as though the truth had seeped into them. He remembered the young Sarah, standing by his side when his own parents disowned him for marrying a black woman. He remembered her working double shifts to keep food on the table when his job was lost. He remembered the way she held his hand when the doctor said he might not survive his first heart attack. Could one betrayal, buried in the distant past, erase all of that? Or was it part of the messy, painful, human story they had always lived. When dawn broke, Sarah found him still awake. His eyes were red, but not with anger alone. There was something else there. Pain, confusion, love. "Mark," she whispered, "I understand if you can't forgive me. I wouldn't forgive me either. But I need you to know it was never about him. You were my life. You are my life." He studied her, seeing not just the woman before him, but the girl he had fallen in love with decades ago. The girl who had risked everything to choose him. "You should have told me," he said quietly. "But we are not just one moment, Sarah. We are 50 years. 50 years of building, of loving, of fighting side by side. That truth doesn't disappear because of one mistake." Tears blurred her vision. "So you can forgive me." Mark sighed deeply, the sound carrying both exhaustion and tenderness. "I don't know if forgiveness is the right word, but I choose us, even now." Even knowing this, the weeks that followed were heavy, filled with long silences and quiet reflection. Their children noticed the strain, that said nothing, trusting their parents' resilience. Mark and Sarah walked slowly through their days, confronting memories together. Sometimes anger flared in Mark's chest, and sometimes Sarah wept alone in their bedroom. But always, they returned to one another. On their 50th anniversary, their family gathered in the backyard to celebrate. Grandchildren laughed, children raised glasses, neighbors marveled at the couple who had endured half a century of love. As they sat side by side, Mark took Sarah's hand. "We've had a life," he said softly. "A real life. Not perfect, not easy, but real." Sarah squeezed his hand, gratitude shining in her tired eyes. "And I'm thankful, Mark, for every day, even the painful ones, because they were with you." He leaned over and kissed her forehead, a gesture not of naive romance, but of deep, tested devotion. "The truth hurt," he admitted, "but the truth also set us free. I don't want to die with bitterness in my heart. I want to die knowing we faced everything together." And in that moment, under the fading light of the setting sun, surrounded by the family they had created, Sarah felt a weight lift from her soul. For love, in all its brokenness and beauty, had endured. Years later, when Mark passed away quietly in his sleep, Sarah sat by his side, holding his hand until the last breath left him. She whispered into the silence, "Thank you for choosing me, even when I failed you." When her time came, their children laid them to rest side by side, beneath a headstone that read simply, "Mark and Sarah Williams, a love that endured." For a history would remember them not for perfection, but for persistence, for the courage to love across boundaries, and for the grace to forgive across decades. And that, perhaps, was the truest legacy of all.